It's the most wonderful time of year. Hey everyone, I'm Abby Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. In today's episode, we will be talking about the impact of stress on eating and weight. Do you lose weight when you're stressed? Do you gain weight when you're stressed? And what makes you more susceptible to one outcome over the other? This comes at a time when ultimately stress may be at an all-time high between the expenses, the travel, the chaos, and a lot of time with the family in tight quarters.
Everyone in this family hates me.
But before we get too into it, I would love if you just took a second to follow my new podcast, Bite Back with Abby Sharp, on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. I have honestly worked so hard on this, and I would love if you would give it a listen and review. Okay, let me jump in here super quick because I have to tell you about one of the coolest, most innovative products I have ever come across. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. So this is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic developed by actual PhD scientists, designed to help you handle those not so great mornings after having a drink. Full disclosure, this video is sponsored and I am so grateful for their partnership. But let me tell you, I am also like their biggest fan. I buy this stuff in bulk because I am completely hooked. And as a science nerd, I have to break this down for you. So inside this little bottle is a genetically modified probiotic with a very specific job. It produces the enzyme that breaks down acetaldehyde, which is the nasty byproduct of alcohol that's responsible for those dreaded drinking symptoms. And trust me, it actually works. Now, I know this is the holiday season when a lot of folks are just kind of more likely to imbibe, but still, this is not a free pass to go wild with the drinking. You still need to drink responsibly, stay hydrated, eat a balanced meal, and get a good night's sleep. But if you're like me, someone who loves enjoying a glass or two of wine, but needs to wake up like sharp and ready to go the next day, this, my friends, is a game changer. Ask anyone who knows me. I rave about this to every friend, every dinner companion, and of course, my husband. It is hands down one of the most remarkable products I have ever tried. And what's even cooler is that ZBiotics is using their unique GMO technology to develop more groundbreaking products targeting other gut health related issues. So yeah, stay tuned because they've got some big things in the works. But to try it out yourself, head to zbiotics.com/AbbySharp or scan the QR code on the screen. And if you use my code AbbySharp at checkout, you'll get 15% off of your first order. You can also sign up for a subscription with my code so that you will always be ready no matter the occasion. And here's the best part. ZBiotics offers a 100% money back guarantee. So if you are not satisfied for any reason, they will refund you, no questions asked. This is seriously next level science in a bottle, and honestly, I cannot recommend it enough. There are so many celebrations this time of year, and ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic can help you savor the night and seize the next day. Let me know if you guys try it and what you think. All right, fellow worry bugs, I want you to just take a second right now to go to the comment section and tell me how stress affects you personally. Do you eat more? Do you eat less? Do you gain weight? Do you lose weight? Do you crave food? Do you lose your appetite? I would bet that we're going to see a clear divide here, which is also reflected in the research to date. So for example, one review of 13 cohort studies found that job stress resulted in a U-shaped curve where some people will gain weight and other people would lose. It was pretty much 50-50. One online survey found that stress resulted in 43% of respondents saying that they would eat too much and 36% saying they would skip a meal. Another study had 44% eating less in response to stress and 39% eating more. So what's happening here to cause this discrepancy? Well, first of all, I want to talk about the types of stress and our body's response. When we're faced with an acute stressor like a car accident or sleeping through your alarm clock, we see an urgent spike of epinephrine, aka adrenaline, and also cortisol. So cortisol is a stress hormone that helps mobilize fuel by breaking down sugar, fat, and protein for our body to use as energy. So yes, even though everyone harps on cortisol for causing weight gain, it actually results in a net breakdown of body fat. How's that?
How do you like them apples?
Now, a quick jolt in stress hormones can also temporarily increase our basal metabolic rate by about 5 to 15% above baseline, depending on the severity of the stressor. So stress can actually transiently boost our calorie burn. Finally, acute stress and anxiety can both overstimulate the vagus nerve in the gut, which can lead to symptoms like nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, and other kind of like funny tummy outcomes that may make it harder to want to eat a meal. And this is actually why we see such a correlation between anxiety disorders and IBS, or in times when you were like generally feeling a bit nervous or upset about something, you might not have so much of a drive to eat. All that said, most of us aren't being faced with enough mini emergencies in our day to actually result in weight loss. And if we were, those stressors would quickly make up the backdrop of our life and be more accurately classified as chronic stress. And this is kind of where cortisol's role shifts. In the short term, cortisol can be incredibly helpful. It gives us energy, it makes us alert, and it kind of helps us get shit done in our day. If we didn't have an increase in cortisol in the morning, we would literally have no motivation to get out of bed. But when our cortisol is consistently elevated from chronic stress, it essentially wears down certain areas of the brain that make us more sensitive to stress and rewires us to respond to future stressors in physiologically and behaviorally maladaptive ways. So a number of studies have linked chronically high cortisol levels with weight gain and higher BMI. So for example, one study found that those with high cortisol gained more than twice as much weight as the low cortisol group. And if we look at like an extreme clinical presentation of excessive cortisol like Cushing's syndrome, we typically see higher belly fat and lower muscle mass. So while cortisol can increase the net fat breakdown across the body, it conversely results in a decrease in fat breakdown around the intra-abdominal area. Translation: more belly fat, aka visceral fat, which increases insulin resistance, which can then play a role in weight gain over time. There's also some very early animal research suggesting that cortisol may essentially kind of like feed the intestinal cells, resulting in greater calorie absorption in the intestine. So the more calories you absorb, the more weight you could gain. And I actually talk a lot more about that in my video on calories right here. But obviously more research in humans is needed to really understand cortisol's relative effect. But the biggest mechanism for how cortisol affects weight gain is how it influences our food and eating behaviors. Chronic stress, and therefore chronically high cortisol, can reduce our satiety hormone leptin and increase our hunger hormone ghrelin. And we're not just like hungry for salads here, folks. Cortisol actually disproportionately increases cravings for foods that are high in sugar and fat, likely by activating reward pathways in an effort to downregulate the stress response. So one study found that when given cortisol, participants ate 4 times more fat, 3 times more carbs, but only 1.7 times more protein. So our increase in appetite is actually food specific, and that kind of stereotypical trope of a breakup scene in every chick flick always being accompanied by a tub of ice cream or chocolates is actually not that far off.
Liar!
But here's the most interesting part of all of this, at least to me. Because as we've determined based on surveys I shared below, and also likely your own experiences that we are seeing in the comment section, stress affects all of us in different ways. And it seems that one of the best predictors if you are likely to lose or gain weight from stress is actually your dieting history. Because dieting requires extended periods of self-imposed restriction, it's associated with intermittent periods of disinhibition, aka those moments when you kind of slip up and then say, oh my God, it, I'm gonna eat all the things, diet starts again tomorrow. So the research actually shows that the combination of disinhibition and chronic stress increases our food cravings and therefore increases how much we eat. Not surprisingly, women are far more likely to eat in response to stress, probably because they're just more likely to get stuck in the binge, restrict, repent, repeat cycle. There's also studies that indirectly support this, where underweight folks tend to lose more weight in response to psychosocial stress, while those who are overweight tend to gain. And again, it's this latter group who are probably more likely to diet and experience a rebound of disinhibition. Let's also not forget that dieting is actually a stressor on the body in and of itself. And while I fully understand the desire for weight loss, especially if you do live in a larger body, we want to make sure that we're not going too hard too fast to avoid some of these chronic cortisol pitfalls. If you're looking for some more gentle nutrition tips for weight management, definitely check this out. And for everyone else who feels that they may be kind of feeling the effect of chronic stress, I recommend investing your energy in better sleep hygiene, regular exercise, mindfulness or relaxation techniques, and a balanced diet. One study did find that a diet high in added sugar and saturated fats increased cortisol levels more so than a diet rich in plant-based foods. And while these basic lifestyle shifts will offer you the best cortisol lowering bang for your buck, certain supplements, most notably perhaps omega-3s and ashwagandha, may also potentially serve as helpful adjuncts. But on that note, guys, that's all that I have for you today. I would love if you would leave me a comment below on how you respond to stress and any tips that you have for managing stress in your day-to-day life. I know the holidays can be particularly stressful, but I do hope you can find ways to enjoy it and relax with family and friends, and ultimately use this time to maybe, I don't know, catch up on all the episodes of my new podcast, Bite Back with Abby Sharp. But wishing you guys all a healthy, happy holiday season. I will see you in 2025 here at Abby's Kitchen. Bye!